Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Good morning, students. Hope you are all doing well. And welcome to social science class. Today we are going to start a new chapter, history, chapter number 6, towns, traders, and craft persons. In this chapter, we will try to achieve the following objectives: trace the origins and histories of towns, many of which survive today, demonstrate the differences between founded towns and those that grow as a result of trade, and illustrate how travelers' account, contemporary maps, and official documents are used to reconstruct history. So let's start at different towns. In the medieval time, between the 8th and the 18th centuries, there were temples, town administrative centers, commercial towns famous for art and craft, and some poor towns. Moreover, some big towns and cities were famous for more than one of these things as well. Administrative centers, temple towns, pilgrimage centers. So it was a Tanjore situated on the bank of river Kavari in Tamil Nadu was the capital of the Chola dynasty 1,000 years ago. It's a busy commercial town with markets for grain, spices, cloth and jewelry. Water was also supplied to the people and the visitors from the big wells and tanks. Its agriculture included different its architecture included different temples and palaces with mandapas that were used by the kings to hold courts and carry out their administrative affairs. But they were also used as prayer halls, and some even housed religious rituals and for some music concerts as well. So Tajur is also an example of a temple town where urbanization happened, and as temples become center of the society and economy. Temples were built by rulers not only to show their devotion but also to unify different communities, and they were maintained through cash and land grants from rulers and merchants as well as from donations made by the pilgrims. Big temples also used surplus funds for business such as trade and banking. To cater the needs of the pilgrims and of the temples, priests, workers, artisans, traders, etc., started living in the areas around the temples. So this is how they fulfill the need of the pilgrims. So this led to the growth of temple towns such as Somnath in Gujarat and some other big temples as well. So the center of pilgrims also started turning into township such as Vrindavan in Uttar Pradesh and Ajmer city, the city in Rajasthan that was both the capital of the Chauhans in the 12th century and the Suba headquarters of the Mughals, is a great example of religious coexistence. Next topic is large villages become small towns. After the 8th century, many small towns emerged out of large villages all over the Indian subcontinent. So these town had mandapikas where markets or were set up to sell agriculture products, horses and salt and camphor, saffron, betel nut and spices like pepper. Street were um, street were also set up to help small businesses and artisans such as porters, oil pressures, sugar makers, toddy makers, smiths, and stonemasons. So Samantas built fort around large villages and turned them into developing towns. They also collected taxes from the traders and artisans, and inscriptions in temple tell us that some Samantas gave away the right to collect taxes to the temples as well. different traders. So there are different traders as well. There were different kind of traders in the medieval time, including the Banjaras, nomadic people, and traders who traveled a lot came together uh, to from to form trader associations or guilds. The most famous one being Manigramam and Nandadasi. They did this to protect their interest both within the Indian subcontinent and in Southeast Asia and China. So the largest Indian trading group were the Chityaras and Marwari Oswal and Gujarati traders such as Hindu Baniyas and Muslim Bohras. There were extensive trade with the port of the Red Sea, the Persian Gulf, East Africa, South Asia, and China. Indian spices and cloth were exported, and gold, ivory, spices, tin, Chinese blue pottery, and silver were imported. Many of these products also reached European markets and then attracted the European traders in India. Their arrival once again changed the structure of the trading and towns in India. So the largest Indian trading group were the Chetiyas and Marwari Osal and Gujarat traders such as Hindu Baniyas and Muslim Bohras. There were different towns and different crafts. So inlay work in copper and silver done by the craft persons of Bidar, a district in northeast Karnataka, became very famous and came to be called Bidri from Bidar. The goldsmith, bronzesmiths, blacksmiths, masons, and carpenters of the Panchala or the Vishwa Karma community built many public buildings such as temples, palaces, tanks, and reservoirs. As town development, some aspects of cloth making, such as cotton cleaning, spinning, and dyeing, become specialized and independent craft, and many weavers, such as those from the Saliyar and the Kaikolar communities, become very rich and made donations to the temple as well. So we are going then we discuss about the regional development. So Hampai and architectural splendor. Hampai is a village in North Karnataka. It was located in the ruins of the city of Vijayanagara, once the capital of the Vijayanagara Empire. By archaeological findings, we found that the city was well fortified, but no commenting material was used for binding the bricks or stone. Rather, they were wedged together by interlocking. The architecture in there was splendid, consisting of the royal buildings with arches, domes, pillared halls, sculptures, well designed gardens, and orchards. In the 15th and 16th century, Hampai became the center of the various cultural and commercial activities. The market consists of traders such as Moors, the Chittis, and the Portuguese. The cultural activities included celebration of various festivals such as uh, Mahanavami, one of the most important festival of Hampai temples, became the center for not only worship but also for the development of the various religious and cultural traditions such as that of Devdasis and etc. So archaeologists have also found the Mahana Mahanavami platform that the kings used to hold meetings, and from where they watched various music and dance performances and wrestling matches. In spite of all these development, Hampai, the cultural capital, started deteriorating after the fall of the Vijayanagara Empire, as it was defeated by the Dakkani Sultan, rulers of Golconda, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, Birar, and Bidar. So next is in another like a town, Surat, and its trade. The city of Surat was cosmopolitan as people of all castes and creeds lived there. During the Mughal period, Surat, Cambay, present day Kambahat, and later Ahmedabad carried out trade with the West. It was also called the gate to the Makkah as the pilgrim ships set sail from here. So in the 17th century, the Portuguese, the Dutch, and the English set up their factories and warehouses in Surat. Textile industry of Surat has been famous for its zari work and has a market in West Asia, Africa, and Europe. Architecture of the city included magnificent buildings, many rest houses, player parks, huge banking houses, the handis um, of Surat were honored in market of Cairo, Basra in Iraq, and Antwerp in Belgium. Toward the end of the 17th century, Surat began to decline as the trade capital because of many reasons like the decline of the Mughal Empire and the resulting in the loss of market and productivity. So control over the sea routes by the Portuguese and the competition from Bombay as the East India Company shifted its headquarters there in 1668. So, however, Surat is a bustling commercial center of Gujarat today. So, next town is Patanam. Forgive me for my pronunciation. It's Patanam. I think it's okay now. The town of Patnam is located at the bank of River Krishna. In the 17th century, the English and the Dutch East India companies tried to control the town as it became the most important port of the coast near Andhra Pradesh. The Golconda ruler established royal monopolies on the sale of the textile, spices, and etc. to prevent the various East India companies to control them completely. But due to the competition between the Golconda nobles, Persian merchants, the Telugu, Komati Chistis, and European traders made the city populous and prosperous. So the Mughal in the 17th century started extending their power to Golconda, and in 1686 to 1687, Mughal Empire Emperor Aurangzeb conquered Golconda. So, thus, the East India Company then devised a new policy which described that the new trading centers should combine the political, administrative, and commercial roles. So, in the 18th century, uh, Masulipatanam declined and lost its merchant and prosperity as the company trader moved to Bombay, Calcutta, and Madras. So next, new towns and traders. In the 16th and the 17th century, the English, the Dutch, and the French formed East India companies in order to expand their commercial activities in the East. Initially, they focused resistance from the local traders, but the companies soon gained control over the sea routes and forced the local traders to be their agents and emerged as the commercial and political superpower of the subcontinent. The demand of goods like the textile increased, and so the craft of spinning, weaving, bleaching, dyeing, etc., expanded greatly as many people participated in it, and the quality of the textile improved. But the period saw the decline of the independence of the craftspersons as they now began to work on a system of advance payments, which meant that they had to weave clothes which was already promised to European agents. So weavers no longer had the liberty of selling their own clothes to weaving their own patterns. The 18th century saw the rise of Bombay, Kolkata, Madras, which are major metropolitan cities today. So the craft and commerce also underwent changes as the local or native artisans and merchants were moved to the black towns, areas set up by the whites for the blacks or locals. While they occupied the superior residence of Fort St. George in Madras or Fort St. Williams in Calcutta. So, boys, this is the end for this chapter. It's a pretty, I think you will understand something, and it might, inshallah, it will be informative for you. So, thank you very much. Take care, and Allah Hafiz.